Hello there. I appear to be in a bit of a dead zone, so I decided I'd pick up my recorder. It's 10:50 a.m. on Thursday, the 14th of May, 2026. And, is that right? I guess it is. Yeah, I'm headed to Damascus, and I'm in my car. I hope it's not too loud. And it's extremely windy, blowing real hard. I always, in rural areas, I appreciate that a lot more people seem to have flags out, usually American flags or whatever. But, given that this area is so tumultuous with the wind, at any given time, I just really enjoy seeing, what the wind is actually doing in a visual way that confirms my fear of it. It's just so crazy how windy it gets around here. It's unrelenting. And again, it's also extremely hilly. And I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm really just remarking. I feel like there's a categorical difference there, because this area is such a good training area for a cyclist who wants to become well adapted to a variety of different terrains. You kind of get a little bit of everything here as a cyclist. There are flat places in the valley. Typically, those are where the biggest roads are that are the least enjoyable to be on. So I don't stick to those roads very often. But then peripherally from the main highway, you have the original roads, where people used to go to travel to the places that the new highways go. So there's a really good network of roads that connect me all over this general area, But in order to go on most any of them, it requires leaving the relative tranquility of the valley, And so you have to go up. You have to go straight up, and usually, it's hundreds of feet. It's very easy to accumulate 1,000 feet of elevation gain around here. Not to mention there is a state park, Black Rock Mountain, and it's Georgia's highest state park, they boast. And to get to the top of it, which I have done many, many times, I think it's close to 2,000 feet. Well, is that right? That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but it's at least 1,300, 1,700, something like that. It's crazy. You go straight up the mountain. The road is windy. The actual lanes are narrow. It's absolutely insane. So every time I go to a different area that's not like this, I'm kind of amazed at the transferability of my general biking comfort. When I was biking out west, there were a lot of really, really bad headwinds. Countless, I'm talking a constant wind of 15 miles an hour, and then extremely powerful gusts, occasionally even beyond that. It was truly amazing. It was just I can't believe how much this sucks. That's one of the things that I chase in life, I guess. That's a sensation. When people talk about really wanting to experience things in life, bucket list items, the things that they go after and stuff like that, finding things that evoke that feeling of just being I can't believe how bad this is, but knowing that it's a controlled environment. It's kind of like an extreme sport at that point. I guess you could consider bike packing an extreme sport for what it's worth. If you're liberal with your definition of sport, for sure, the way that I approached that bike ride, it was I like calling it a project. That's something that I've seen as I've updated my LinkedIn profile. And, you can explain gaps in your career path And one of them is like, you can have career break, and then there's like a drop down of like a multitude of different like things that you might have been doing on a career break. And one of them is like personal project. And so, I do think that biking here has made me very, very physically well suited to bike everywhere else I've been in the United States. Like I've never felt in recent memory taken aback by any landscape or thought that I couldn't go through it. It's like the weather is always an exacerbating factor. The traffic is always an exacerbating factor. There's always like constant variables that make things difficult. But just growing up, and I feel like in a certain sense that's the right way to phrase it. Growing up in my cycling career with this area being a big part of my foundation, I would say was key, was vital to like the ability to go transverse space. I think if I had grown up in Florida, which for a while I did, from ages like, I don't even know. I know we moved away when I was 10. That's when we moved to Georgia, but I was in Orlando, Florida before that. And, I think it's kind of, just like personally speaking, I think it's pointless to ponder what ifs. Like I do firmly believe in fate. Like I just don't see how it could be another way, just because things are so consequential and domino-like. It's like the cause and effect is like so overwhelmingly true in my life experience that I just can't imagine something that wasn't a direct result of a previous cause. I think that consciousness is really interesting, especially, thinking about like other creatures' level of consciousness and also artificial intelligence and what consciousness means in that context. Like I do enjoy thinking about all that stuff. But honestly, at least for me intuitively, which again, this doesn't mean much, but it is the way that I feel. It's like everything within me vibrates in the direction that all is fixed and all is fated. And it's so foundational to everything that I believe that it's actually very difficult for me to imagine a different perspective where someone actually believes that they have immense agency within the world. And I think that we do have something that you could call agency, right? Obviously, like here I am, I'm driving. There's some sense of me doing this, but all of these little cause and effect things, like that's the interesting part for me, because I'm just like, well, yeah, there's an infinity of all these little things that preceded this exact moment. Not even things that are directly connected to me. Most of the things are not directly connected to me, but it's like being in an ocean wave. Like the movement closest towards the shore is a direct result of everything that happened farther out at sea prior to its arrival. And I just really can't help but view life that way. I know it doesn't feel like that's the way that it is, and I understand that that's a place to get caught up in, because like, if you, like I was just saying about fate, like, if you don't feel that it's true, there's very little you can do to convince yourself otherwise. There's a lot of psychological tricks and self-manipulation, I suppose, that you can do. But, like, to honestly feel good about something, there's like a bunch of motorcycles just turned out in front of me. I had to slow down a little bit, and I think some guy got mad. I'll tell you what, we'll move on from this consciousness topic. But, I don't drive super regularly, but I do drive, and every time I do, I just feel like I have such a different approach to driving compared to the average person. Not even saying an actual average, but just based on the people who I feel like I've been around most while they have driven, and I have observed that. I just feel like driving is like of no consequence to me. And if anything, I'm really just trying to drive only fast enough so that I'm legally within the limits, because like I don't want to arouse my own fear of what it feels like when you're going really fast and could possibly go out of control, Like, I have a very measured approach to driving. I kind of consider it like a necessary evil. Like, it's nothing... I don't have any part of my ego that cares about how I drive, Like, I have received several, what should we call them? Constructive criticisms about the way that I drive. It didn't hurt my feelings. It didn't motivate me to feel like I should change what I was doing, because it's just like, well, like my goal and my approach to driving is just like so obviously not the same as yours, and I would never tell another person that they should be driving a certain way, like outside of like telling someone to stop because they're about to hit something. Like I would never like volunteer suggestions about how to be a better motorist. I just don't see, like, that's a weird part of a persona to like build up with its own set of tenets and philosophy, Like, my philosophy on the road is like drive safe, get where you're going. Like, there's no... I'm not trying to race anybody, and this could just be a direct reflection on like the way that I bike, because I don't like racing people. Like, and sometimes something happens, or maybe I was already going fast, and maybe what I'm really trying to do is just get away from somebody, and then that can be taken as like an initiation to race. And I don't like that, because I'm just like, no, I was like chilling, like I'm listening to music, like I'm enjoying the scenery, like I'm not trying to go anywhere faster than exactly how fast I'm going. And I guess that's how I view driving. It's just like, dude, this is just like a potentially dangerous activity if we're going to employ our higher order of thinking. Like, this is one of the most dangerous things that people often and regularly do. The statistic I remember hearing most recently was that people in general have a 1 in 8,000 chance of being in some sort of a, motor vehicle crash or whatever. And so, like, that's a pretty, like, low, it's a high percentage chance. I mean, it's not really like, it's not even like it's not a high percentage chance, but it is like much more likely than like being struck by lightning or other things that people think are more dangerous than they actually are. I can't really think of any examples. I felt like I had something in the chamber, something to do with AI, but just like it's just crazy, my dude. I feel like I lost the thread. So what else? Who cares about a thread? We'll just move on. I was driving along, like I said, had sort of a dead zone, and I started to have thoughts, which I was enjoying. It's a much more tranquil experience, I must say. Like, I guess that's another thing about driving for me, is that I want it to be relaxing, because I do feel like it's like the ultimate bike ride, so to speak, just because, like, ideally, even though I enjoy the punishing realities of what it is to bike, but ideally in the back of every cyclist's head, probably more often times than not, is like looking forward to an easier part of the ride, and when it comes to driving a car, it just feels like the easy part of the ride the whole time, which is just crazy. No mud, no rain, no cold, no heat, no heavy breathing. I mean, this is pretty obvious stuff, but it's just it's why I approach driving the way that I do. So, yeah, I was thinking about stuff, and then I started talking about that. What was I gonna say? I don't know. I'm looking forward to being in Damascus. I think it'll be a really good time. I really haven't processed even now that I'm on my way, that this is actually what's about to be my reality for the next few days, So yeah, I mean, I woke up this morning at about 8:30, if I'm honest. I think it was like 8:20, which I felt like was a bit of a heroic victory. I was like, sweet, not the late, like not on the far end side of what I feel comfortable sleeping until, but far enough away from it to where I feel like I'm actually getting a jump on the day. A 10-minute jump between disaster and success. But yeah, I got up and started packing. I kind of realized that I had no reason to stick around longer than I needed to in order to get all my stuff together and head on out. So yeah, I just basically had a pretty good idea of what I would need. I also have to pack for going down to Florida with my dad's siblings, so it's going to be a week's worth of stuff that I have with me, and I feel good about it. I mean, I don't really have a lot of things, and I don't really need a lot of things, so the fact that I have as many things as I do, I feel like if anything, I'm liable to surprise myself with joy when I realize that I actually did pack something that might have otherwise been thought of as more of a luxury. I guess that's another nice thing about being in the car, especially compared to hiking, which is that there's no such thing as a forbidden luxury. With hiking, it's just like every single thing is so consequential to how much pain you're going to feel throughout the day in terms of the gear that you're carrying on your back, that, if you're sensitive to how your body feels, and when it's screaming at you, it's hard to turn down that volume knob. I became so cutthroat with what I would and wouldn't carry with me. And so to have the luxury of carrying whatever I want, the only criteria is it has to fit in the car. That is definitely not the only criteria of bike packing or backpacking. It not only obviously needs to fit within a bicycle or within a backpack, but it's also is that the best version of the thing that you could be bringing with you, and or do you actually need that thing at all? Because ounces equal pounds and pounds equal pain, as they say. So yeah, I mean, it's enjoyable. I really honestly feel like it's just like a high-speed wheelchair. I'm kind of interacting with the environment. I'm certainly able to at least look at it. It is obviously weird to not have all this pollen in my eyes, but that's fine with me. That's not my favorite part of the whole experience, but I do love it. I know I mentioned recently that in terms of biking, I've basically been doing it now for the vast majority of my life. There was a period, I guess, recently when I turned 30. I would say that when I was 15, and I've talked about all this before, but hey, I'm grasping at straws. When I was 15, I really started biking. That was when I would say I got demonstrably serious about it. Not just simply biking to friends' houses sometimes, or going to the local park and back, but actually going on 20-mile rides. And it was interesting thing for me to get into. Probably the best thing for me that I could ever hope for or imagine, just because at 15, I am kind of still the neuroplasticity, if I can invoke Huberman's favorite concept. The neuroplasticity there is still pretty off the chain. I'm going through puberty. I could discover that I'm some sort of prodigy level something or another, good at this or that or the other. I'm still sort of an unknown quantity. It's hard to know just how much of whatever is inside of me that's growing will eventually appear, And so I started biking, and I guess the reason why I started biking was actually because I didn't have my license yet. And I guess it was a two-factor kind of a thing. One, I had a real big crush on a girl, and my first love at first sight kind of a thing, where I had all the feelings that everyone's always been talking about, fluttering, blushing, I don't even know, pursuit behaviors. Like, this girl really, really entranced me, and, you know, I guess galvanized me forever for what the standard of love at first sight is like to experience, you know. And so didn't have my license, but desperately wanted to like see her, because like my favorite thing in the world at that time would be if we happened to make eye contact while like going in the halls of like class, in between class or whatever it was. And I remember I really liked this song by a band called Badly Drawn Boy. It's called Another Devil Dies. And the first like lyrics of that song, it starts with him saying, "Well, your face still makes my day." And that song was so crazy for that period of my life, because that was exactly the feeling that I was experiencing when I would see this girl. I was like, my entire day is made by seeing your face. And so somehow, for some reason, I don't even know why, but I started biking just hoping to see her out in public, you know. And I would listen to music because I loved listening to music. And, you know, for whatever reason, I don't know, you know, obviously I believe in fate, like I said, but I don't know how much of my response to biking initially was due to like nature or nurture. I know that it's both, but it's a percentage, you know, like this obsessive quality. Like, that's the thing that I'm interested in sort of like understanding about myself, because I don't know if it has multiple iterations like within me. Like, if I'm equally obsessed with anything else in my life, I want to say no, but I think that my like feeling of saying no is actually more so to do with like my own bias and blind spot. Like, I don't think I can actually see the things that are huge parts of my patterns and routines, because I'm so stuck in them. So I'm not sure if I can properly make that assessment, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. But yeah, biking and learning how to bike, which, you know, is more than simply turning the pedals. Like, knowing how to eat for a bike ride, knowing how to drink for a bike ride, feeling confident with making routes, no matter where they might take you. I don't even know how I did routes back when I first started biking. I mean, I wouldn't put it past me to have made like MapQuest directions, and then I always had like an odometer on all my bikes. I've always had some kind of a bike computer that would tell me at a minimum speed and distance, you know. And so I certainly could have printed out MapQuest directions with mile marker cues, and then just followed my odometer relative to those cues, and then turned onto roads, because I don't think I had a map. I highly doubt it. I mean, it wasn't very hard to traverse the areas, because, you know, I mostly stuck to the main roads, so there wasn't a lot of surprise there. But going on all of them as a cyclist, when I guess I'm still, again, in that plastic stage of neurogenesis, probably not neurogenesis, but let me see this thing. My thing is messing up, y'all. Okay, I'm trying to. That's another thing about me, is that I do get lost when I drive. I do be getting lost. I do be missing exits. I mean, it's not really lost, because like it's not like I don't know where I am. I guess what I should say is I miss turns. Like, I just kind of enjoy going straight, and I don't like to really look at a map on my phone. Probably not a surprise to hear when I'm driving, just because, like, you know, Well, I'm just very particular about the types of data that I want to see when I'm doing something like this. Like, you know, if I'm constantly looking at something that displays an ETA, like that makes me then feel like I have a time that I'm supposed to be there and that I could be late. But, you know, like right now I'm on vacation, you know, and I can't be late. It's not possible. Like, it's literally whether I left when I did or 2 hours later, like I'll get there when I get there. And like looking at the map with that specific piece of information, it triggers me. Like, you know, I don't want to be held to a standard of arrival just because it's being displayed. And I feel like that's often what happens and makes people feel like more anxious about driving than it necessarily has to be. I do acknowledge that this is a reframing technique rather than something that is, like, in any sense of the word, objectively true. But I do think that reframing is like one of the most powerful and important tools that I have acquired. And, you know, again, I have to credit Paul Conti with that, I think. He really solidified my understanding of the concept. You know, it took like 30 hours with all the times that I listened to his series with Andrew Huberman. But I really feel like I've internalized it very closely to the spirit in which he was describing it, you know? Like, I just think it's a very strong way of living life. Just because, you know, I guess maybe this goes along in a certain sense with fate, but I really don't believe that anything is like objectively true. Like, I do think that gravity is real, and that, like, the Earth is a sphere, and that we live in a heliocentric solar system, and so on and so forth, all the way down. Oh, got a thru hiker over here. Oh no, it's just a dude on a Vespa. But like, objective truth, like I put a lot of faith and a lot of stock into the idea that nothing is objectively true. Like, with very, I guess, in the world of, like, maybe in the world of human relationships, like, not even necessarily the relationship with others, in terms of, like, you know, why it goes into theory of mind, you know, the belief that everyone is a complete and at least as complicated, like, vessel of humanity as compared to you, you know. And so maybe I should reframe what I'm even saying. I believe that everything is true in the world of, like, human relationships. I think that there are very few things that could be considered, like, categorically false about something that a human is saying to describe their relationship with themselves or with the outside world, you know. I think about these concepts a lot because I'm well, you're constantly okay, you want to shortcut into how to enjoy the mundane, which is kind of what I feel like my whole life's pursuit is all about. I'll tell you what, if you consider that, objectively speaking, as per my framework, the amount of interest that you could derive from a person and like split it between, like, Einstein and a gas station attendant, like, if you believe that there is real human value in making connections with people regardless of their credentials, then I gotta tell you, like, you can find some really interesting and gratifying experiences in every single person that is around you, because you just have to, like, kind of believe that there's depth and then find it, you know. It's like everyone, they're living their own life. Like, if you ask them interesting questions, which I feel like has been another thing that I've kind of had to sharpen my toolkit of during my life. I think when I was much younger, I would ask much more incisive questions, you know, like questions that you could say are objectively a little bit dangerous, maybe, in terms of like, you know, you ask the wrong person the wrong question and you might damage your relationship with them, you know. And back when I was younger, I think I felt like those questions were worth asking regardless of what the risk was, because I wanted to know that I have the same kind of questions, and I think that it's a bit of a tragedy to not be able to feel like you can ask earth-shaking questions to another human being, you know, and like have that be a real form of intimacy. Like, that's kind of, I don't know if it's unique to me or even something that's specific enough to identify, but I kind of do feel like that is how maybe this is all people. I don't really know. I don't know how much study's been done into this kind of a thing. But yeah, like sharing, I guess it is like just vulnerability. But I like when I feel like I'm suddenly seeing someone with like a lot of depth that I'm curious about. You know, it's like, oh, interesting. Like, you know, first of all, maybe you're describing something that's never happened to me, or maybe you're describing something that has happened to me, but in a very different experiential way. Like, you know, it's crazy when you connect on that level. If you can do it with a variety of different people, then it really makes you feel like you're not really ever alone, because it's like, I know I can have a meaningful interaction with a gas station attendant, because I have, you know, like it's not even because of like, it's not because I was like at a deficit though. It's not like I needed human connection and anyone would do. It was more like faith that all people are interesting, you know, and a willingness to prove that to myself by asking questions that aren't common, you know, or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it's annoying. I've never done like after the fact interviews with people to say like, hey, was that a little overbearing? Like I do recall like being on a porch one night with my friend, shout out to Ben, and you know, I'd had a beer, and everyone who walked by I would say hello to, and say other things, I guess, maybe too. I can't remember. I feel like I was saying something, I don't know. It was, I was made aware that like I was being like aggressively friendly, and I was like, well, that's like the best thing I can imagine being. That sounds like a compliment. But it's, I mean, obviously it was a good blind spot to be made aware of, because that was certainly not my intention. I was hoping to play with somebody. Again, the way that I feel like I play with other people is like the same kind of ways that like young male tigers do. Like, it's a little bit aggressive, you know. You're not supposed to draw blood, but you know, you can bite hard and scratch, you know. Like, it's a little bit like that, you know what I'm saying? And we're coming up, well, I got 17 more minutes. How long have I even been talking? 30 minutes. Wow. Well, I felt like I was getting full. Like, I felt like my head was swimming a little bit with things that I wanted to talk about. And, you know, it's not even, I'm not sure that this would even be the last clip that I would make today, because I'm feeling like more thoughts could come. I didn't have a extreme excess of things that I wanted to talk about, but I felt like they would kind of naturally create the pressure for me to be able to start speaking. And now we've just kind of cascaded into being a complete part of my stream of consciousness, you know. I will say I don't like it when people like push me from behind, like because I'm driving slowly, you know. That's something I don't prefer, but I guess I do understand. What else? Well, it's a nice day. Blue sky, clear blue. I'm not sure if the weather, I have no idea what the weather is supposed to be like in Damascus. I meant to check that several times, and it just never made the cut. There was certainly a part of me when I was considering what the weather would be like. I was like, well, I mean, regardless, I will be fine. Like, even if it's like severe thunderstorms, I'll just like hang out under awnings or something like that. So it's not really a big deal, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be nice weather. And yeah, I feel well prepared. Like I said, at length, I enjoyed packing the way that I did. I feel confident about it. I guess confident enough and proud enough to bring it up twice. But maybe I'm just, again, grasping at straws. That's crazy that there's actually a bike route on this road. And again, I've mentioned it before, but you know, the roads that I'm most familiar with, like, they seem like they would be the least safe, or like the ones that I would need to be the most careful on. Even though, looking at this road, you know, I've been on thousands of roads like this, and they were all fine. Like, I don't even, it's probably just like, what do you call that? Like exposure therapy. Like, I just don't even have time to consider if a road is going to be uniquely dangerous, because, you know, knock on wood, that's never objectively been the case in my personal experience of life. Like, some places are bad, some are not. It's in terms of distribution, I don't see how you'd ever get around that fact of life, you know. Sometimes it's going to be hard, sometimes it's going to be easy. And by and large, though, there's like a way to make it through, and that's my true north, you know. It's like, that is true. Yeah, now I'm thinking about how I should apply that to pitching myself for my career. It is, and I think that, you know, with AI, that's the thing that I treasure most about it. It's just like, AI is the way through, you know. Like, it's not, one thing that Notebook LM is always harping on with these transcripts is that friction is a necessary part of the human experience, and without it, we lose meaning. But I feel like they're setting up kind of like a false dichotomy. I feel like it's a little bit of like a Western interpretation of forces, if you will. Like the idea that there's friction and there's ease, right? And, you know, I think in a Western conception, and Notebook LM, you can check me on this, I feel like there's the idea that the evil or the bad or the otherwise the not good, like there is a way to completely remove that from the system. And in fact, it's actually a battle, you know, like you actually have to consciously fight against this other force in order to vanquish it within your own life and within the world, you know. But I don't think that that's true. And, you know, it's interesting because even at the beginning of the Bible, with the idea of Eden and perfection and things like that, like that perfection, which was only the presence of good, it really just doesn't jive with like my conception of spiritual reality. I think that you will always encounter friction. I don't think that there is a way of removing it, because it exists in balance with the presence of ease. Like, you could only remove both to remove either one, and I don't think that that's possible. So it's just interesting when I hear them talking about like how excited I am to automate everything, but then how much I also love biking, and the reason I love biking so much is because of the friction it gives me. And yeah, I think that's like I think that's a flawed lens to like look through to categorize what I'm doing. Okay, Notebook LM, you know what I'm saying? Like, expand your horizon a little bit. Like, I don't know. I look forward to when the Google products can actually start to create like a consistent narrative across sources, you know? Like right now, everything is kind of siloed into its own little project. And so the projects don't talk to each other, and there's no memory that is conserved between sessions or between projects. And so, you know, it's just like a bummer, because it's such an interesting idea that I could have like this, this artificial interpretation of who I am as a person based on like hundreds and thousands of transcripts, and then to see what that would be like to interact with. Like, I'm not even like trying to be navel gazy or anything like that. Like, I just think like to see an early approximation of a specific person that you have direct source material from over like a decade of that person's life, like 15 years, like, you know, we're talking nearly half my life, which is insane. Like, I have material, and it's not even that I think I'm special. The only thing that's special about it is that I have this material. Like, if you wanted to like create an artificial version of yourself, you know, and suspend your disbelief, this isn't supposed to be like this isn't supposed to be some sort of weird dystopian thought exercise, but just out of interest's sake, if the raw material for creating such a mirror of yourself actually existed, that would be an interesting place to find yourself. It's like if you collected bottle tops your whole life and then found out that, you know, for some reason they were actually worth like billions of dollars for something like it had nothing to do with why you were collecting them. It was just it was like a secondary thing. That's kind of what it feels like. Again, not because I think my material's good, but I have like very intimate sources of myself as a human being for a very large period of my life, you know. And yeah, like if I did have access to more powerful tools, I'm fairly sure I could construct some version of this. I've talked about it before with the Gumball machine, like setting up a bunch of agents that they solely exist to represent specific episodes of my life, like literally snapshots of a day, you know. And then they talk to the master Gumball, whatever entity, and then it constructs like this facsimile of myself, which again, it is a little Frankenstein monster-y, like, for sure. I mean, there's something macabre about it. I guess it is like it's like a digital Frankenstein. I bet Notebook LM will call it this, that. Yeah, I guess I'm intrigued by the possibility of creating a digital Frankenstein. But it's like even stranger because it's like I'm digging up my own body and then like giving it life, you know, my digital self. I guess that's the thing too. It's like everyone has like a digital footprint. It just so happens that mine includes a lot of stream of consciousness with me trying to be as honest as I possibly can bear before I start to embarrass myself. You know, it is funny. I don't even know how accurate of a picture I paint of myself in these clips, being the one who experiences me in totality, or at least to whatever degree that could be said. Like, I don't know if this is actually a very good representation of myself. It's hard to say. No one could ever know. But yeah, I have my first leg of the trip, 8 minutes. That's my ETA. And I think I'll try to keep talking until I get there. It's a little bathroom break, you know what I'm saying? Get some snacks, no big deal. It is cool though. I think I'm going to be on like Great Smoky Mountain Highway or something. I think I have to go through the Smokies to get all the way back over to the Asheville area, which I'm looking forward to. I obviously live in the Northeast Georgia mountains, but there's something definitely special about going through the Smokies. I mean, it feels different. And there's a lot of good memories in those trees, if I do say so myself. But yeah, you know, that's basically what's going on. That's what's really going on, anyway. And if you know what I'm saying. And I think that you do. Yeah, what else? I don't know, man. I'm hoping that I get to bike a good little bit while I'm here, but I don't really know what the expectations are. Or there's probably not any expectations, truly. But, yeah, man. Oop, time to turn. Gotta turn. I like to signal like hundreds of feet before I need to. Not in a dangerous situation where it gets confusing about where I'm actually turning, you know? But, I mean, like, I don't remember this specific joke, but I think it was Jeff Davis on Harmontown. He was like, I don't just use the turn signals, I indicate. And I'm like, that's kind of how I feel. Like, I feel like I really, really want people to see what I'm doing, and I want them to know exactly what my intentions are, and that, like, I don't pose any kind of, like, threat. And this is me talking about driving again. This is probably the nicest road I've been on so far today. This is taking me behind over to the entrance. Maybe it's actually the Blue Ridge Parkway. I don't even remember. I've been over in this area, not a lot, but certainly like closer to 10 times than not. And so I have like specific memories of being here, but I'm also kind of conflating them with an area that I'm now thinking about that I walked on when I was on the Appalachian Trail most recently. I don't even remember where that was, but this one road reminded me so much of a road over here that I could almost swear that I've walked up this road over here, which I most certainly have not ever done. That would be the most pointless road walk I can possibly imagine. Like, there's like a nice little loop out here, because I'm at the beginning of the Blue Ridge Parkway. And so I made this loop where I would take the Blue Ridge Parkway until it intersected with a road that takes me back down to Cherokee, North Carolina. And then it would basically just shoot me back to my car. And it was a really cool route. I did it several times. And yeah, I guess I'm just cross-pollinating memories of routes from the past, my dude. 4 minutes. What can I talk about? Well, was there anything yesterday that I felt like I didn't get to really fully flesh out because I had to leave so quickly? No. Had a nice evening, though. It was fun. We went to a dinner party. Shout out to all the folks that were there. Anonymity preserved. And we did quite a few things. Had like a little concert. I brought my guitar, and another man there played guitar. And so we played guitar together, which I have to say, like, I'm not the best at jamming with another guitarist, just because I don't really know I don't know very many songs. Like, I know how to play guitar in a very specific way, but it's not like singer-songwriter style. Like, it has to do with like weird little riffs. Like, that's the way I play guitar. Like, I have this collection of like 10 or so riffs that I've been making and perfecting for like the entire time I've been playing guitar. I have no idea when some of these were created. Some of them have merged to make even longer songs. Like, it's a fun way to play. Like, it feels like it's always creative because I never spent time like figuring out scales and music theory. I got to a point where I was competent enough to just enjoy the fun that I was having, and I only kind of got better at that specific thing. Wow, this is like a terrible intersection. God, if someone was like coming over the hill, they could just smash into you. I barely could see over it. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then went on a pontoon boat ride, and then we played croquet, and also had an amazing dinner. It was a good time, y'all. I think you know what I'm saying. And what else? I don't know. You know, just chilling, just enjoying. I'm ready to trade in some of this constant enjoyment for a little bit more structure, for sure. And of course, I'm speaking about jobs there. But it is nice, you know. Just trying to make sure I'm driving safe. Another terrible hill, this time going downhill. Now I think we're behind a mailman. But yeah, it's just making me not nervous, but I'm like, man, I really don't like cutting around cars on like blind hills, you know. I watch people do it all the time, and I'm just like, phew. Sometimes it kind of takes my breath away. I'm like, oh my God, you have like 3 seconds to get out of the way of this oncoming car that had no idea that you were there. you know? And so, like, just the possibility of a head-on collision. I've never seen one before, but man, I feel like I've winced at 1,000 possibilities, you know? Oh, here's the mail truck. Lol. So yeah, it's just a crazy life. Just absolutely crazy, y'all. But, you know, trail provides, and I've arrived, so it's time for me to do the needful. Oops, I just definitely missed the parking lot. See, this is what I'm talking about. Make wrong turns all the time. I think drive-through only. That probably means you can't go through it otherwise. So let me try this. I'm not a bad driver. I just don't really care about driving. You know, I don't know. I don't care about it. I don't consider it a skill. For me, you know, I'm sure there are people who are good at it, race car drivers, etc. But you know, for my money, I'm just like, again, I'm just trying to get there and get there in one piece, my dude. Let's see. Oh, getting stuck. Getting stuck, y'all. I feel like every time I've come to this parking lot, I've had to park far away. It seems like everyone is parked far away. This is a weird spacing. I guess I can park closer. I have a lot of memories of this parking lot being like really hot. And hey, if no one's going to come closer, then sure, I will. That sounds nice. All right. Leave it there for now. I love you. Shout out to my parents. Oh my God. Shout out to my parents. Love you. Bye.